I am an imperial consort who can hear the emperor's innermost thoughts. In my past life, I followed his every whim, fulfilling his every desire. I thought I'd be rewarded with titles and promotions, perhaps even crowned empress. But the emperor turned out to be a scoundrel. He spurned my favor and fell for a fisherman's daughter outside the palace. Defying all opposition, he made her empress. Fearing I might harm his empress, he had me executed in advance. In this new life, after hearing the emperor's thoughts again, I revealed the information to my sworn enemies. His Majesty breaks out in hives after eating lychees. His Majesty intends to dispose of your family. His Majesty speaks highly of your younger sister. Consort and consort Shu were stunned. Sister, what should I do? Please think of a plan quickly. I nearly lost myself in those repeated cries of sister. In my past life, they all called me a slut. I wasn't idle either. I called them whores, idiots, scheming servants, fools. But that was all in my previous life. This time around, they are my beloved sisters. I looked at consort and smiled. Why the rush? I have a clever plan, but it depends on whether you can bring yourself to be ruthless. And Faye hurriedly curtsied. My sister has just come of age and is already betrothed. I am trapped within these palace walls. I cannot let her be drawn in two. I beg your mercy, sister. From now on, I shall follow your lead in all matters. And Faye hadn't believed me at first, until I had her feign leaving the banquet, then slip back quietly. She saw the emperor's gaze, naked and unashamed, fixed upon her sister, tender and budding like a young shoot. Consort and gritted her teeth in fury. She had raised her sister with her own hands, their bond as deep as the ocean. In my previous life, I followed the emperor's thoughts to handle another matter, missing this one entirely. By the time I heard the emperor's thoughts about consort and sister, she had already entered the palace. This filled me with seething hatred. Convinced consort and had deliberately orchestrated it. We clashed fiercely. But this lifetime, upon hearing the emperor's thoughts, I not only neglected every request but deliberately did the opposite, causing him nothing but frustration. Thus, I did not miss the emperor's true intentions. It turned out he had long coveted consort and's younger sister. Humph. What a lecher. I played my hand well, informing consort and of this matter. And Faye gritted her teeth. To save my sister, I'd walk through fire and water. I beckoned her closer and whispered a few words in her ear. And Faye suddenly seized my hand, her voice trembling with emotion. Thank you, sister, for your brilliant plan. Whether this succeeds or not, I'll forever remember your great kindness. And Faye hurried off. She led her sister, who was acting coyly, to present the emperor with a bowl of soup. The emperor was overjoyed and happily drank the soup. Then, his eyes swelled shut. The imperial physicians barely managed to save him. Consort in, tearfully leading her sister, rushed to tend to his illness. But a wave of perfume wafted toward the emperor's face, causing his rash to worsen dramatically. The emperor pointed at consort and her sister. Get out of my sight. Consort and left heartbroken, sending her sister out of the palace that very night. She hurriedly notified her parents, urging them to arrange her sister's marriage immediately. By the time the emperor's rash subsided and he recalled the incident, news of consort and sister's betrothal had already spread beyond the palace walls. The emperor fell silent, likely recalling how both times he'd seen consort and sister, he'd broken out in hives. He suppressed his thoughts. It seems our destinies clash, fated to be apart. I curled my lips in a sneer. In my past life, he brought consort and sister into the palace, slept with her a few times, then grew bored. Another pitiful soul entered the palace. He, however, remained carefree, falling in love with someone else. Pa. Lecture. Months later. Consort and married. She was finally at ease. She came to thank me. I dismissed the attendants. Suddenly, she knelt and performed the grand bow. Sister, I shall never forget your life-saving grace. From now on, I am yours. Whatever you command, I shall obey. I hurriedly helped her up. A strange warmth stirred within me. In my past life, I had enemies everywhere in my quest to become empress. Yet when I died, it was precisely those sworn foes who came to bid me farewell. Those who understood me best were my adversaries. They pleaded before the emperor, declaring I would never harm that fisherman's daughter. Though the noble consort speaks with sharp tongue, her heart is kind and virtuous. Though the imperial consort appears haughty, her actions are upright and honorable. Though she flatters those above, she remains uncompromising. Though she seeks favor, she never strikes from the shadows. The imperial consort. Enough. Stop. Let me die. The emperor hesitated. But the fisherman's daughter, tears brimming in her eyes, spoke softly, I cannot outmaneuver these palace schemers. Nor do I care to. Li Xin, if you cannot clear the path for me, then do not confine me within these palace walls. With the vastness of the world, where could I not go? It was this very sentence that strengthened the emperor's resolve. He gave me poisoned wine and banished the other consorts to a Buddhist temple. The vast palace was left with only the two of them, one life, one world, one pair. Bah! This lifetime, I will make them die a miserable death. I helped consort into her feet, feeling both awkward and a touch of pride. Well, the daughter of the Yin family. So a few small favors were enough to buy your loyalty. Consort and clenched her fists in fury. Zhao Jiufeng, your venomous tongue will be your undoing. I thank you for the little four combination incense. You are my benefactor. Whatever you say, I won't hold it against you. I'll simply remember your kindness. Little four combination incense was made from lychee shells, sugarcane residue, aged tangerine peel, pear peel, and other ingredients. Consort and increased the proportion of lychee shells to create a new batch of little four combination incense. She and her sister sewed the incense into sachets to wear close to their bodies. They also stuffed incense powder into the beads of hairpins, sleeves, and shoe tips, even adding lychee juice to lip balm. The two nearly killed the emperor. But the emperor couldn't die yet. No one in the palace was pregnant. 3 years since his ascension, not a single woman in the palace had borne the emperor's heir. I suspected the emperor was incapable. Yet when I died, that fisherman's daughter was clearly pregnant. Could it be that none of us concubines in the palace were capable? I wanted to try again. Consort and I exchanged a few casual words. Our energies clashed, a few sentences, and we were on the verge of another quarrel. Perhaps, maybe, probably, she and I were destined to be mortal enemies. Consort and finally gritted her teeth and took her leave. With regret, I watched her retreating figure and called out, Aniru, if you truly wish to repay me, then live well. In half a year, the emperor will travel incognito and meet that fisherman's daughter. So many consorts in the palace, spending their days in petty jealousies and constant bickering. Yet I fear none of them. Yet that powerless fisherman's daughter, she truly terrifies me. A single casual remark from her could sway the emperor's affections. I long for more familiar faces in the palace. That way, I might feel a shred of security. Consort and halted, turning back to gaze at me with a complex expression. Rest assured, she said. For your sake, I too will live well. I felt reassured. The Yin family's daughter truly possessed noble spirit. I still visited the emperor frequently, simply because I wanted to see if I could conceive. Once I was pregnant, he would be useless. Then, Humph. The emperor was delighted. My appearance was radiant and captivating, the gaudy, intricate patterns on my garments only accentuated my splendor. The emperor once said that seeing me made him feel the nation was at peace and the people prosperous. But later, he chose a fisherman's daughter who preferred pale-colored garments and had a plain, unremarkable appearance. Sure enough, a man's words are as deceitful as a ghost. Trusting him is the end of you, you can't even trust his own heart. Because not everyone possesses self-awareness. Even the emperor himself couldn't figure out what he truly wanted. If he was destined to be another woman's man, then he'd better exhaust himself on mine. I'd make him tremble at the very mention of sex. I seduced the emperor several times. After each encounter, he'd be exhausted to death. The imperial consort is truly a demon. I might well die in her bed. I truly cannot go on today. I hope she knows better than to tempt me again. How could that be? I have plenty of tricks to drain him of strength. The powder from my fingertips drifted onto the emperor's face. His body, the bed. He rolled over, pinning me beneath him once more. Finally, I too grew weary. The emperor's drowsy eyes could barely stay open. Lying in his embrace, I traced circles on his chest to tease him. In a falsetto voice, I asked, "Your Majesty, my birthday approaches. What gift will you bestow upon me?" Humph. What do you desire? Utterly boring woman. All she knows is demanding. 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 My fists clenched. In my past life, I truly took his words to heart, restraining myself and appearing indifferent. But he called me a fake. Yet when I wasn't pretending, he never gave me anything either. This life, I couldn't care less what he thinks. I only care about what I want. I said in a coy, coquettish tone, "Your Majesty, I serve you so well. Might you grant me a favor? What do you desire?" She only wants to be empress, without considering whether she's worthy. My fists clenched again. Your servant has been in the palace for many years. I wish to return home to see my parents. Please grant me this favor, Your Majesty. My voice twisted into several different tones. Even I felt sickened by it. The emperor froze, momentarily unable to respond. I've misjudged her, she's actually homesick. Granted. This is a minor matter. Is there anything else you wish to request? His tone was meaningful, and I understood perfectly. That bastard. He wanted to lure me into revealing what I truly desired. If I actually voiced it, he'd only use it against me, turning around to despise and belittle me. He could dream on. This humble servant desires nothing more. I once dreamed of becoming empress. But upon reflection, how could I ever be worthy? To remain a consort is the best fate I could hope for. Your Majesty, please do not tempt this humble servant into wild imaginings. If I were to truly entertain such thoughts, and you were to scold me again, I would be utterly lost. Still, I trust Your Majesty isn't such a shameless person, so I dare not entertain such thoughts. Your Majesty, please sleep. I am so tired. The emperor was speechless. Her inner monologue was nothing but whining and meaningless drivel. Humph. Has she discovered something? Was she just sarcastically scolding me? Unlikely. She wouldn't dare. Seems my excessive favor has spoiled her. Tomorrow, I shall select Consort Shu. Oh, got it. Tomorrow I'll give Consort Shu some potent aphrodisiacs too. But Consort Shu doesn't quite trust me. She eyed me suspiciously. Would you be so kind? I yawned lazily. It's not entirely for your sake. Not long ago, His Majesty nearly took a new concubine into the palace. Consort Shu's expression turned serious. She'd heard bits about Consort N's situation. Hadn't the emperor suddenly caught rubella? It might have happened. But what does this have to do with me? I sneered. What does it have to do with you? A great deal. Surely it's because we haven't served His Majesty well enough, leaving him time for wild thoughts. Mustn't we serve the Emperor diligently? Yesterday I worked myself to exhaustion serving His Majesty. Today you must do your duty well, don't disappoint me. The consort's face flushed crimson. She rose and spat lightly. How vulgar you are. The noble consort was a scholar. Unlike me, who was neither skilled in literature nor martial arts. In my past life, her father and brothers were imprisoned by the Emperor. All she could do was kneel before the Emperor's palace, clutching the edict where the late Emperor had praised her family's loyalty and righteousness, begging His Majesty to show mercy, insisting her father and brothers could never have plotted rebellion. Alas! The Emperor never granted her an audience. After their deaths, she starved herself to death to prove her innocence. I'd struggled so hard to climb the ranks. Part of it was fear of the Emperor's arbitrary punishment. At least the Empress was his lawful wife. Arbitrarily punishing one's wife would invite censure from the court. I sneered. We've been in the palace for 3 years now. Yet not one of us has borne the Emperor's heir. Don't you want to know if it's His Majesty who is incapable? Or if it's us? Moreover, your family is about to face great calamity. If you were to conceive, you might just save your father and brothers. The noble consort turned ashen with shock. What did you say? Only then did I realize I'd slipped up, hastily covering my mouth. I said nothing. You did. I did not. Consort Shu. Don't try to slander me. I'm leaving. I slipped away quickly. Consort Shu was stubborn. If I told her directly that the Emperor intended to punish her father and brothers, she'd never believe me. But if she grew suspicious and investigated herself, she'd be convinced. Sure enough, that night, my maids reported that Consort Shu had called for water several times before finally retiring at the 3rd watch. Hearing this, I seethed with rage. I had only kept His Majesty company until the 2nd watch. Yet Consort Shu had engaged him until the 3rd watch. Did she possess more skills and tricks than I? Had I truly been outmaneuvered by Consort Shu? How infuriating! The Consort Shu monopolized His Majesty for days on end. Her overwhelming favor was enough to make anyone envious. Several days later, she arrived at my palace with a solemn expression. After dismissing all attendants, she suddenly collapsed into a chair as if all her strength had drained away. Her face was pale, her eyes glistening with tiny tears. Sister, you were right. His Majesty truly intends to harm my father and brother. He actually harbors murderous intent toward them. But why? My father and brother are utterly loyal. Our Song family has served as loyal ministers for generations. I hurriedly cut her off. Stop. 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 Don't say another word. I could recite the rest of her speech by heart. My ancestors fought alongside His Majesty to establish the empire. My grandfather served as the late Emperor's grand tutor, his spirit tablet enshrined in the imperial ancestral temple. My father was the late Emperor's personal tutor, by his side for decades. In my past life, Consort Shu repeated these words hundreds of times, her voice hoarse. Yet not once did they move the Emperor's heart. I asked, have you ever considered that perhaps your family has become an inconvenience? Consort Shu leapt to her feet in agitation, but my father served with unwavering loyalty, personally supporting your Majesty's ascent to the throne. The first thing a man throws away when he's no longer lame is his crutch. The Consort Shu collapsed helplessly into her chair, weeping bitterly. What should I do? Would it be enough if I just died? Your death won't help. The Emperor's desire to sleep with you and his desire to slaughter your entire family are 2 entirely different matters. The Consort Shu choked on her words, her reddened eyes glaring at me. Then what should I do? I sighed. It depends on whether your father and brothers want their lives or their positions. The Consort Shu understood instantly. her thoughts deepening. I told them, but my father and brothers might not believe me. I slipped a bracelet from my wrist and handed it to her. Take this. Have your father bring it to my father. He'll tell him everything. That dog emperor is so despicable. The task of investigating consort Shu's father and brothers fell to my father. Though he uncovered nothing, merely mentioning the matter would break their hearts. These Confucian scholars place utmost importance on serving with utmost devotion until death. The consort's father and brothers aspired to be like Zhuge Liang. Unfortunately, the emperor was no Liu Bei. Sooner or later, they would come to see reality clearly. And when they did, it would be the moment their hearts were broken. Consort Shu hurried off with the items. Just before leaving, she paused, hesitated, and told me, "Sister, you needn't waste your efforts on His Majesty anymore." For 3 consecutive days, I secretly took His Majesty's pulse and examined. Below, he likely cannot. I was struck dumb. He can't? Can't? Then how did he impregnate that fisherman's daughter? It felt like I'd uncovered some earth-shattering truth. Are you certain? I studied under a renowned physician since childhood and accompanied him on house calls. Only after entering the palace did I pretend to know nothing. What I've observed, I'm absolutely certain of. I gritted my teeth. That dog of an emperor. He slept with me all these days for nothing. Does His Majesty know of this? The noble consort hesitated. He likely does not. Imperial physicians dare not speak definitively, especially concerning matters of the emperor's heir. Good. My resolve was set. I must carry this pregnancy to term. If a fisherman's daughter could make the emperor wear a green hat, so could I. I prepared for my family visit. Consort Shu was also busy. The next day, news came from outside the palace that the Grand Tutor had fallen from his carriage, breaking his leg. Consort Shu's eldest brother, protecting their father, injured his arm in the fall. The Grand Tutor was elderly, the leg injury aggravated his old ailments, and he was near death. The elderly cherished the idea of returning to their roots. The consort's eldest brother immediately petitioned to resign his post and escort their father home. The emperor granted his request. On the day I left the palace for my family visit, the consort came to see me off, silently shedding tears. I envy you, sister, for being able to return home, but I won't even get to see my parents one last time. From now on, I have no family left in the capital. My heart softened slightly, and I stroked her head. Once her father and brother departed, they would likely never return to the capital. Compared to power, life is more precious. I murmured softly, "Then why not create a kinship of your own?" She was startled. I fixed my gaze upon her. "You only get one chance." Suddenly, she grasped my hand. "Sister, I beg you to help me." He showed no mercy. "Don't blame me for being ruthless. Wait for my good news." I left the palace to return home. Though called home, the entire journey was under constant surveillance. Only when greeting my mother and sisters did I have a moment to speak privately. Mother squeezed my hand tightly, her voice filled with hatred. "Zhao Jiufeng, you have some nerve. You're trying to kill us all." I only said one thing: the emperor is incapable. Relying on him, I'll never have children in this lifetime. Mother's grip loosened. "Damn Zhao Xin." Her eyes turned red. Mine did too. The consort Shu's family is a warning. The emperor doesn't know he can't father children. This child might save our entire family. If it can't, then we'll all die together. Mother made her decision, patting my hand gently. "Don't worry. Mother is here. I'll go prepare it now. Prepare 3 sets for me." Mother nearly stumbled. I said plainly, "I have several sisters in my palace. You still care about sisterly bonds in a situation like this? That's the Zhao family tradition. When there's something good, of course we share it among sisters. Mother gritted her teeth and left. When I returned to the palace, I carried a large box. On top lay silver notes, beneath them lay things too unspeakable to describe. After returning, I summoned Consort Shu and Consortin and showed them the box. These work best when used early. Do as you see fit. Use them if you wish. Or discard them. This is your only chance. Consort Shu took one first. If one consort conceives, the emperor will suspect her. But if several conceive, he'll only doubt the physician's skill. Count me in. Consortin gritted her teeth. You two are lucky to take them. But the emperor hasn't called for me lately. If I get pregnant, the timing won't match. What's so hard about that? Tonight, you take a bowl of glutinous rice balls to His Majesty. That bastard has been craving them lately. Count me in too. Consortin also took one. That very night, she carried the glutinous rice balls to the emperor, coaxing him into her palace. By the fourth watch, the two finally retired. I was heartbroken. Those damned Consort Shu and Consortin. What tricks did you two use to keep the emperor battling with you until the third and fourth watches? My pride was utterly crushed. So I played a nasty trick, spreading word of the emperor's preferences throughout the entire palace. This kept His Majesty terribly busy. Today, Consort Zhao's offering pleased him. Tomorrow, noble Lady Li's gift satisfied his appetite. The day after, beauty Song Meirin was turned away at the door. The emperor had indigestion and ordered all gifts from the consorts to be rejected. I felt regret. Song Meirin was so foolish, she should have sent digestive pills. But the day after tomorrow, one of the consorts thought of just that. The beauties of the harem united in purpose. This past month, the emperor lived in extravagant indulgence, stuffed to the gills both above and below. Meanwhile, my pregnancy began to show. At the palace banquet, I felt nauseous and began to retch. My vomiting triggered the Consort Shu and Consortin to follow suit. Chaos erupted across the banquet hall. After taking their pulses, the imperial physician immediately knelt to announce joyous news: all three consorts were with child. The emperor was overjoyed. He felt a surge of pride, as if this proved his virility, radiating an air of conquest over the harem. Thus, he failed to notice the deep frown etched on the face of the chief physician of the Imperial Medical Bureau. He lavishly bestowed rewards upon the harem, including the pregnant consorts. Then, he slipped out of the palace in plain clothes. The night before his departure, he came to see me. Ah, Feng. While I am away, the harem rests upon you. You are also carrying a child. Above all else, you must prioritize your own well-being and take good care of yourself. What nonsense are you spouting? You demand I manage the harem, yet also insist I preserve my health. Why can't you just be one gender? I softened my voice, squeezing my throat. Your Majesty, please don't go. Your servant only wishes to be with you. The emperor's body stiffened. Ah, Feng. Be good. The empire needs me. Have these women in the harem never seen a man before? Every one of them throws herself at me the moment they see me. These past days have nearly ruined my back. If I don't escape the palace soon, I fear I'll die beneath these women's bellies. Me. This won't do. Why did you take so many consorts? Useless dog of a man. Fearing my persistence, the emperor hastily made an excuse and fled. I watched his retreating figure and smiled. In my past life, the emperor claimed he and the fisherman's daughter endured countless hardships to return to the palace. Thus, he regarded her as his benefactor, kin, and beloved. But what if the storms grew fiercer? Could they still weather the tempests together, sharing each passing year? I was curious. I released a white dove. Consort Shu hung lanterns. Consort and lit fireworks. We all claimed to be praying for His Majesty's well-being. This incognito journey of His Majesty's was taking rather long. 9 whole months passed without a sign of his return. The court officials, starting from initial panic, had since developed a smooth workflow. Division of labor kept the government running. The inner palace remained serene. With the emperor absent, all consorts enjoyed leisure. Their relationships unexpectedly harmonious. I, consort Shu, and consort in each gave birth to 2 sons and 1 daughter. Holding my child, I wept with joy. In my past life, I envied the fisherman's daughter. I envied her for winning the emperor's affection. I envied that throughout the entire palace, only she could bear the emperor's child. I envied how, in the long, lonely years of the palace, she would have a blood relative by her side. But my envy was just that, envy. I never once thought to harm her. What truly disgusted me was how she looked down on us noble-born women while simultaneously scrambling for wealth and status. Yet she pretended to be aloof, accepting it all with feigned reluctance. Truly detestable. In my past life, the emperor favored her and the child within her womb. In this life, the emperor has 3 children. I'll see how she spins her silver tongue now, begging for a lifetime of devotion to one man. On the day my royal son celebrated his first month, the emperor returned. I paused mid-grooming. How did he survive? He was truly hard to kill. I dressed and went to meet the emperor. He looked haggard and fearful. Yet upon seeing us, he showed a joy as if reuniting with old friends. Ah, Feng, consort Shu, I nearly never saw you again. Shu Fei, and Fei, and I exchanged glances. Each of us clutched our child and rushed to the emperor's side, swiftly pushing aside the fisherman's daughter. Your Majesty, you've grown thin. Your servant has missed you so. All these days you were gone. Your servant prayed for your safety every single day. Your Majesty, look! This is our child. See how much he resembles you? Back then, Mother had deliberately chosen a man tall and robust, handsome, and bearing an uncanny resemblance to the emperor. Now the child was a month old, at that soft and adorable stage, truly bearing a striking likeness to the emperor. Everyone who saw him couldn't help but praise him. The emperor was thoroughly pleased. This is my child. A bit ugly. My beloved consorts, however, have grown more voluptuous and graceful. Only after leaving did I realize the imperial palace is truly a heavenly abode. I shall never again venture out in disguise. The fisherman's daughter felt neglected. Her voice turned cold. Zhao Shen, since you've returned to the palace, I should depart as well. We shall never meet again. She adopted a distant demeanor and turned to leave. The emperor remained silent. I remained silent. In my previous life, I had been too hasty. Before the emperor could speak, I had rushed to confront the fisherman's daughter, demanding how she dared to utter the emperor's name. Her eyes blurred with tears as she explained she had always addressed him thus. The emperor immediately rebuked me, declaring my temper so fierce that I truly believed myself the mistress of the harem. Apologized to Sui at once. He barked the order, utterly disregarding my dignity. He became her hero, both of them teary-eyed and lost in each other's embrace. I was left utterly humiliated, the target of everyone's ridicule. This time around, they wouldn't get to cast me as the villain, as their stepping stone. I put on an expression of shocked disbelief, daring not to utter a word. Consort Shu lowered her eyes. Silent. Consort enrolled her eyes, opening her mouth to curse. But I tugged her sleeve. She hastily raised her sleeve to cover her mouth, feigning terror. The emperor felt somewhat embarrassed. Our entourage restored his imperial dignity. He likely suddenly remembered he wasn't that wandering Zhaoshan, but the exalted ruler of a nation. Sui. Stay a moment. Wait for me. Cough. Wait until I've changed before we speak. Zhou Sui clearly found this answer unsatisfactory. It's unnecessary. You are the son of heaven, and I am but a fisherman's daughter. I know I have no place here. I take my leave. Though she spoke of departure, she did not move. Only a pair of misty eyes lingered, reluctant to leave the emperor. The emperor's inner voice grew panicked. This is so annoying. What do I do now? Are these people dead? Can't one of them say something nice for me? Try to keep Sui? I'm the son of heaven. How can I beg a woman? I rolled my eyes inwardly. In my past life, I diligently followed your inner voice. You didn't hesitate to kill me either. This lifetime, don't even think about manipulating anyone again. During the emperor's absence, I'd streamlined palace protocols, ensuring orderly procedures and disciplined conduct. Court attendants followed regulations, each fulfilling their duties without anyone daring to speak out of turn. All watched in hushed silence as the emperor and Zhou Sui played out their tortured love affair, seeing no one trying to stop her. Zhou Sui gritted her teeth and stormed off in a huff. But as she reached the doorway, she swayed dramatically and collapsed to the ground. The emperor rushed forward immediately. Sui, how are you? Someone, quickly fetch the imperial physician. The physician arrived. He diagnosed Zhou Sui as being with child. Though he offered congratulations, his brow furrowed even deeper. Consort Shu and consort and exchanged glances. Consort and discreetly gave a thumbs up. Consort Shu adjusted the green hairpin on her own head. I thought, I have several green hairpins too, tomorrow I'll adorn my entire head with them. The emperor was overjoyed. He embraced Zhou Sui as she slowly regained consciousness, tears of happiness streaming down his face. Sui, did you hear? We have a child. It's ours. Ours. Zhou Sui smiled, then wept. This child cannot be kept. I am the daughter of a respectable family. To have this affair with you was already a mistake. This child is a mistake. I cannot compound my error. Give me a bowl of abortion medicine. I must end it. The emperor held her tighter, his heart aching. Sui, you cannot be so heartless. This is the child I have longed for most. I will give it a proper status. I will marry you. I will make you empress. But I'm just a fisherman's daughter. No one would accept me as empress. Besides, I dread this deep palace. I only wish to spend my life with my husband. Just the two of us. If you cannot grant that, then let me go. I won't let you go. Whoever dares object, I will kill them. He turned to look at us, as if we were his enemies. Me. Damn man. I haven't said a single word. If you slander me like this, I won't hold back. I immediately declared, Your Majesty, you are being utterly selfish. How can you not consider Miss Zhou? A young woman has sacrificed her virtue to follow you. You may crown her empress if you wish, but the child must never be born. If it is born, the timing will prove beyond doubt that she was not chaste before marriage. Even if you make her empress, she and the child will be mocked by all under heaven. How could you be so selfish? Do you wish to condemn her to a lifetime of ridicule? The emperor froze. When he snapped out of it, fury erupted instantly. I am the emperor. Who in this realm dares mock her? I stared at him as if he were a fool. Consort Shu did the same. Consort In, unsure of our intent, nevertheless matched our stance, fixing the emperor with a look that spoke volumes. The emperor slammed his fist on the table. What exactly do you want? I replied, Your Majesty, when a prince is born, there are midwives present. imperial physicians overseeing, palace maids and eunuchs attending, wet nurses and wet nurse matrons caring for the child. After birth, the Bureau of Astronomy performs the third-day ritual. The Imperial Genealogy Office registers the birth in the Jade genealogy records, and the Office of Daily Records documents it. With so many people watching every detail, do you intend to kill everyone in the realm? Or do you plan to hide Miss So away, never to see the light of day? Clearly, you're jealous of Sui and want to harm her. The Emperor roared. My voice was louder than his. Your Majesty, I have no grudge against her. Why would I envy her? Is she more beautiful than I? Does she have a better family background? Is she more noble and elegant? I surpass her in every way. Why would I envy her? Because I favor her. Ha 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 ha. Is his favor some kind of great thing? In my past life, I did not favor him. In this life, it's even less likely. I said coldly, from the day I entered the palace. I knew I would share your majesty with my sisters. The ancestral laws decree that your majesty shall have 1 empress, 4 consorts, 9 concubines, 27 consorts of the 2nd rank, and 81 consorts of the 3rd rank, with so many sisters already in the harem. What harm is there in adding 1 more? I will not envy her because your majesty favors her, rather. I rejoice that your majesty has found such a fine lady. But truth is often hard to hear. Since your majesty refuses to listen, I shall take my leave. You may decide for yourself what to do with Miss So. I swept my sleeves and departed. The noble consort shook her head and sighed. Your majesty, you truly misunderstand the noble consort. During your absence, it was she who carefully tended to me, ensuring I delivered my child safely. Had she truly harbored jealousy, my child would never have survived. Your majesty, I shall take my leave now. Consort and also sighed deeply. Your majesty, after you departed, harmony prevailed throughout the harem entirely due to Consort Zo's magnanimity and impartiality. If you truly cherish Miss So, you should consider her reputation. A common woman's reputation is already crucial, how much more so for the future empress? Alas! Miss So, you must be cautious. If you truly wish to be empress, you must remain unblemished. But now, alas! 3 people had spoken thus in succession. The emperor was bewildered. Zhou Sui was equally lost. What should have been a joyous occasion now felt like a burden. For 3 consecutive days, I avoided the emperor. Whenever he sought an audience, I claimed illness and refused to meet him. He turned to see Consort Shu and Consort, and instead, they recounted my conduct within the harem during his absence. The emperor may have truly felt he had erred, yet he still failed to grasp the full implications. The child has already arrived. Are we truly to abort it? Consort Shu replied calmly. Though Lady Zhou enjoys your majesty's favor, her family background is unremarkable, and her appearance is ordinary. The only thing she possesses that could be considered worthy is her virtue. Establishing Lady Zhou as empress is not solely your majesty's decision. It requires the approval of the people and the recognition of the court ministers. Consort and inquired curiously. Your majesty, when you proposed Zhou as empress in the previous court, what did the ministers say? The emperor's face darkened, his expression grim. He hadn't mentioned it at all, he dared not. I was well aware of the events unfolding in the former court these past days. The emperor had been absent for over 9 months. The ministers had grown accustomed to his absence, establishing their own system of governance. His sudden reappearance disrupted their rhythm. Eager to reclaim authority, he berated veteran ministers, rejected petitions, and reassigned officials. Upon his return, he immediately asserted imperial power from a position of superiority, instead of expressing gratitude and proceeding gradually. The ministers weren't pushovers either. invoking ancestral precedents and ritual regulations to counter the emperor. A trend of mutual hostility was emerging between them. In his previous life, the emperor had spent little time outside the palace. Upon his return, he reclaimed authority without significant resistance. This time around, however, his troubles were just beginning. If he dared propose Sui as empress now, ministers would attack him until he issued a self-reproach edict, then force him to apologize before the ancestors to settle the matter. The emperor left the consort Shu's palace with a grim face. He barged into my chambers, his expression icy. I curtsied, then turned to play with the child. This lifetime, my parents were alive, my sisters harmonious, and I had a son by my side. He was utterly useless to me now. The emperor sensed my coldness. He stammered, "Ah, Feng, I have wronged you." I cut him off. I didn't want to hear a single word of his nonsense. The more pathetic he was now, the more ruthless he would be when the reckoning came. I didn't want to alienate him completely just yet. I bided my time, waiting for the day to strike while he was down. Your Majesty is not at fault. In this servant's heart, you can never be wrong. The fault lies with whoever planted the notion of jealousy in your mind. Truly, I am wronged. I lifted my sleeve to wipe away tears. It had been too long since I'd performed before the emperor. My eyes were parched, no tears would come. The emperor frowned slightly, perhaps finding some solace in my words. Sui is new here and unfamiliar with court etiquette. Ah, Feng, do not quarrel with her. My heart remains with you. Sui, all this is for your sake. My dealings with her are mere pretense, it is with you that my heart truly resonates. Do not misunderstand me. Me? Bitch. A pair of bitches. Kill them. Kill them all. Using the excuse of holding the child, I casually shook off the emperor's hand resting on my shoulder. Clearing my throat, I said, "Your Majesty needn't act thus. I've said before, whomsoever you favor. I feel no jealousy. If you wish to make Lady Zhou empress, provided the court minister's consent, I shall welcome her into the palace with utmost reverence. Yet before offering counsel, I must understand, what do you find in Lady Zhou?" The emperor froze. He fell silent. Yet his mind raced with thoughts. What do I like about Sui? Her beauty pales beside the noble consort. Her talents fall short of the gentle consort. And her spirit lacks the lively charm of the peaceful consort. In looks, lineage, and bearing, she truly falls short in every way. Yet she stood by me through hardship, shielded me from blades, endured countless trials for my sake. Every concubine in this harem harbors ulterior motives. Only Sui chose to follow me when I possessed nothing. Only we have proven our loyalty through adversity. He lifted his gaze and declared, "I cherish her unwavering devotion, a sincerity I've never known within these palace walls." An emperor who slept with the entire harem is this pure-hearted? Hard to believe. Yet somehow, it feels like he truly means it. Perhaps he speaks the truth. The sisters in the palace, some from noble families, some from official households, each carry their own missions. True affection is rare for us. Even if we offered our hearts, would he dare accept them? Not only would he refuse, but he'd likely see us as greedy and insatiable. His prejudice against noble women prevents him from loving any of us, only from guarding against us. Besides, does hardship alone prove true devotion? Ha! That's merely mutual reliance and helplessness. When hunger gnaws at the stomach, people become simpler, but that doesn't mean they become pure. I'll see if their sincerity can withstand the test. Since Your Majesty insists on making Lady Zhou empress, I propose 2 courses of action. One is to terminate the pregnancy, find a noble family to adopt her as their daughter, and then formally install her as empress. The other is to keep the child. There was once a concubine surnamed Zhou in the palace. She passed away during a period of national mourning, so she was quietly buried without fanfare. Later, the eunuchs forgot to report this matter. I discovered it earlier and had intended to wait for your Majesty's return to decide. But now I feel this is a good opportunity. If Miss Zhou assumes that concubine's name, she gains both lineage and provenance. Though her initial rank would be merely a beauty, she could gradually ascend. This path, though slow and requiring years, is the most secure and causes the Emperor the least difficulty. The choice rests with His Majesty and Miss Zhou to discuss and decide. The Emperor departed, his mind heavy with worry. I watched his retreating figure, a faint smile playing at my lips. If Zhou Sui chooses to become empress and forsake her child, I shall make her regret it bitterly. If she chooses to start as a lowly beauty, then she falls into my hands. I will teach her the true meaning of the schemes of women in the palace. The Emperor and Zhou Sui quarreled. Zhou Sui fled the palace. Rain poured down from the sky. Heartbroken, she cried out in the downpour. Zhao Xin, you promised to clear obstacles for me. Yet you believed them and abandoned our child. Neither I nor our child will ever forgive you. I'm leaving this place and never returning. The Emperor seized her, forcibly carrying her back. You are mine. You are not permitted to go anywhere. My side is your home. They fought and struggled, crying and screaming. I, Consort Shu, and Consort and watched from afar, each sheltered under an umbrella. Consort Shu remarked coldly, I've gotten goosebumps all over. Consort uncovered her eyes. My eyes are burning. How did His Majesty become like this? He wasn't always this way. Could it be? Did he hit his head and go mad when we chased him and he fled? She whispered. I replied lazily. He's probably always been like this. It's just that Zhou Sui brought out his true nature. I always felt he and Zhou Sui were cut from the same cloth. Both convinced others sought to harm them. In his world, they were the good ones, and we were all the villains. When I shared his bed, it was self-degrading debauchery, driven solely by carnal desire. Yet when he and Zhou Sui lay beneath the open sky, indulging their whims, it was the height of romantic devotion, revering nature itself. When we flatter him, it's for power and privilege, proof of our low character. Zhou Sui claims to reject all worldly things, yet her chambers overflow with the palace's finest treasures. To him, she remains detached and virtuous. In my past life, I tormented myself over this. Now, I understand. If the Emperor finds me an eyesore, I'll simply remove him. Then my world will be filled only with those who find me pleasing. This is the true path. I wonder how the Emperor persuaded Zhou Sui. She agreed to terminate the pregnancy. I was pleased and personally led the imperial physicians to administer the abortion medicine. This is Imperial Physician Song's abortion medicine. Though his concoction tastes bitter, its efficacy is renowned and universally praised. This is Physician Zhao's concoction. Its properties are gentle and won't harm the body, but the process takes longer. If Miss Zhou chooses this, she'll need to endure some discomfort. This is Physician Kong's formula. Its potency is slightly stronger, but the process is swift. However, after taking it, she won't be able to attend to your Majesty for at least 3 months. Zhou Sui's face turned as pale as frost. Consort, are you trying to scare me? I ignored her and turned to His Majesty, sighing helplessly. Your Majesty, please choose for Miss Zhou. Whatever I say now, she likely won't want to hear. I stepped behind the Emperor and flashed a defiant smile at Zhou Sui. In my past life, she had acted just like this before the Emperor, using words of compromise, concession, and helplessness to imply I was relentlessly aggressive and consumed by jealousy. This time, I was returning the favor. I only hoped she could endure it. The emperor urged. Sui. Choose one. Zhou Sui's eyes welled with tears. Brother Shin. Can't you see she's bullying me? If she truly cared, she'd have brought one proper prescription, not three. The emperor frowned at me. I looked at the three imperial physicians. They sighed helplessly. Our specialties differ. Hence our prescriptions vary. Yet all are potent and beneficial to the young lady's health. If you insist on a single formula, we can adapt. Please wait a moment. The physicians went to revise the prescriptions. Moments later, one combined formula was ready. Zhou Sui looked satisfied. A palace maid went to prepare the decoction. I had consort Shu examine it, and she nodded to me. I understood then, this formula was bitter, required prolonged treatment, and would delay her return to the imperial bedchamber for another 3 months, truly the worst of all worlds. All that effort to improve the physician's welfare hadn't been in vain. I was quite satisfied. Soon, the decoction was ready. Zhou Sui took a sip and immediately spat it out. It's so bitter. She began to cry, looking utterly pitiful. The emperor weakly urged. Sui, stop this. I am truly exhausted. In just a few short days, he had already begun to show signs of weariness. Zhou Sui dared not speak further, swallowing her grievances and bitterness. She finished the medicine. Soon after, the effects began to manifest. Cold sweat drenched her forehead as she clutched her stomach on the bed, wailing pitifully. The emperor cried out in panic. Why is this happening? I replied calmly. Your Majesty, childbirth is always like this for women. Hers is a miscarriage. Still early in the term. It's better than giving birth. I lowered my head and kissed the child in my arms. But it was worth it. He was my little treasure. For him, everything was worth it. The emperor's eyes held a complex mix of emotions. Was it like this when the consorts gave birth? But I wasn't there then. I have wronged them. From now on, as long as they behave themselves and do not trouble Sui, I shall show them leniency. Ah, Feng, you've endured much these past days. He spoke with rare humanity. But I no longer needed it. In my previous life, Zhao Jiufeng willingly served as his lackey, yearning only for his approval, yet faced constant suppression, doubt, and harsh criticism. This time around, I will take what I desire. I will praise myself, cherish myself, and treat myself with genuine sincerity. I smiled, Your Majesty. Since your return to the palace, you have yet to undergo a proper medical examination. With several imperial physicians present today, perhaps they could attend to you as well, sparing this concubine further worry. The emperor hesitated. Consort Shu interjected. Your Majesty, Miss Zhou will require some time here. Should any issues arise, the palace maids will report immediately. They will examine you in the side hall, they won't be far. The emperor agreed. Consort and supported him affectionately. As if he were a fragile being, the emperor visibly relaxed. As if he had found a pillar of support, he departed with light steps. Thus, he missed the sorrowful gaze of Zhou Sui. I understood her feelings. Here she was, alone and helpless, enduring pain, uncertain of her future. Yet he cared only for himself, seeking nothing but quiet solitude. They had once shared hardship, truly empathizing with each other's pain. But returning to the opulent splendor of the palace, he was the lofty emperor. While she was an obscure fisherwoman, the gap between them became starkly apparent. Truthfully, that gap had always existed, it had simply been overlooked before. Now, they had merely returned to the circles they truly belonged in. That was all. The imperial physicians examined the emperor, from head to toe, inside and out. After the examination, their brows knitted tightly. I immediately demanded, "What is truly wrong with His Majesty? Speak plainly, His Majesty, and I shall take heed henceforth. If you conceal anything, and His Majesty suffers further harm through ignorance, the blame will fall upon you." The three physicians instantly knelt on the ground. We deserve death. We dared not speak. The emperor seemed to grasp something. His face darkened as he barked coldly. "Speak!" The three physicians exchanged glances. The lead physician stammered, trembling, "Your Majesty, upon examining your body, we discovered injuries sustained in the past. It is feared you may never have children again." The emperor froze. His expression was as if struck by lightning. He couldn't react for a long moment. "You dare speak such nonsense?" "We dare not." The three physicians knelt on the ground, terrified out of their wits. Truthfully, they had long known His Majesty could no longer father children. But before, they clung to a sliver of hope. They feared that if any of the concubines in the harem became pregnant, it would reflect poorly on their medical skills. So they dared not speak. But now, with the emperor's lower body severely injured, that sliver of hope was utterly gone. If any concubine in the harem were to conceive, it would truly be a green hat of infidelity placed upon the emperor's head. Therefore, they had no choice but to speak. Today, for them, was actually a rather opportune moment. The emperor's face was blank with confusion. After a moment, he seemed to grasp the truth. Sui. He remembered. If he could no longer father children, the child within Zhou Sui would be his last. But it was too late. A faint smile touched my lips before I quickly suppressed it and followed after them. Consort Shu and consort and lifted their skirts and hurried after. Afraid of missing anything, the three imperial physicians hurried after them as well. The closer they approached the main hall, the more distinct Zhou Sui's piercing screams became. The midwife soothed Zhou Sui, "Push one more time, and it will be out." The emperor shouted, "No." However, Zhou Sui was startled, and her body shuddered. The midwife exclaimed joyfully, "It's out! A boy! Already 4 months along." But alas, the emperor's stride into the inner chamber halted abruptly. He fixed the midwife with a cold stare. "How many months did you say?" 4 months. Your Majesty, you can determine the fetus's gestational age? The two midwives exchanged glances before answering truthfully. Your Majesty, each month brings distinct changes in a fetus's length, weight, and facial features. Having delivered many, we can discern that the child in consort Zhou's womb is over 4 months old. We would not mistake this. The emperor closed his eyes and drew a deep breath. When he opened them again, the fire in his gaze had cooled to stillness. "All of you, leave." The others, confused, withdrew one after another. The emperor added, "The 3 imperial physicians remain. How I wished he would keep me too." Alas, he did not. I walked slowly. Consort Shu walked beside me. Consort and lagged a few steps behind. We all heard a thunderous shout from the inner chambers. "You wretched woman! How long do you intend to deceive this emperor?" A faint smile touched my lips. In this lifetime, I sent people to search for Zhou Sui, but she was nowhere to be found. She seemed to live in a secluded paradise, accessible only through the emperor's door. So I focused my efforts on the emperor himself, delaying the moment he would meet Zhou Sui. For over a month before his departure, he toured scenic spots. Only when he was far from the palace, beyond timely return, did I order his assassination. But the emperor proved remarkably hard to kill. Despite our utmost efforts, we only managed to wound his lower body. Stranded in a fishing village, he was rescued by Zhou Sui. After recovering, he secretly returned to the capital with her. Through their perilous journey, Their hearts grew close, and they became bound by an unspoken bond. I imagine the emperor must have been overjoyed then. A man wounded below the waist craves nothing more than conquering women to prove his worth, to reclaim his pride. That Zhou Sui could conceive must have filled him with immense delight. It was the ultimate testament to his enduring virility. But today, the words of the imperial physician and the midwife shattered his pride into pieces. He was nothing but a pitiful creature stripped of power, his manhood compromised, and betrayed by his own wife. The pure, flawless love he had cherished was nothing but a deceitful, lying harlot who had deceived both him and the heavens. He would trample her into the mud without us lifting a finger. What transpired after we departed that day? From fragments of palace servants' conversations, I pieced together the truth. The emperor had court physicians verify the fetus's gestational age, then severed its fingers. He dripped his own blood into the severed limbs, seeking confirmation that the child was his. But he failed. I believe he may have lost his mind. Dripping blood into bones to test paternity is nothing but a folk superstition, yet he clung to it. He must have been truly cornered, like a trapped beast. Zhou Sui was demoted to a palace maid without even a brief confinement period. The emperor ordered her to serve him, watching her daily while subjecting her to cruel torment. He would casually overturn objects, forcing Zhou Sui to kneel and clean them up. He trampled her hands, finding satisfaction only when he heard her cry out. He ordered her to grind ink, then splashed the ink all over her body. He dipped his brush in the ink smeared on her skin to write, laughing with malicious delight. He made her serve food, then flung the dishes into her face, forbidding her to wash it off. After witnessing all this, I realized a person could be this twisted. Disappointed in the imperial harem, the emperor also lashed out recklessly in the court. Riding this wave of madness, he forcefully dealt with several powerful ministers, reclaiming some authority. These matters, had I not been absent, I would have handled them myself. Better to resolve them during his reign than soil my hands later. Only when he had mostly settled things did I begin my own actions, coincidentally encountering Zhou Sui. By then, Zhou Sui was emaciated, reduced to little more than skin and bones. She no longer cared whether she lived or died. Seeing me, she did not bow in greeting. Instead, a mocking smile touched her lips. You women of the palace are truly disgusting, always scheming and plotting. I may not be able to outmaneuver you, but I still find you repulsive. When she entered the palace, she possessed 7 parts of beauty. Now, after being tormented, only 4 parts remained, yet her eyes shone with an astonishing brilliance. I recalled a disease characterized by bright, protruding eyes and a thickened neck. Her symptoms seemed to align with some of those signs. I ask you, I have never wronged you. Yet from the moment you entered the palace, you have targeted me at every turn. Why do you hate me so? Ha! Why should I tell you? Her smile held a secret of satisfaction, as if she alone remained sober amidst a drunken world. I considered it. It wasn't something I absolutely needed to know. Once she was dead, there would be no secrets left. I laughed. If you don't want to say it, then never say it. The one who speaks it is a dog. Zhou Sui's eyes widened. A breath caught in her throat, suspended uncomfortably. She snorted coldly and turned to leave. I said, I know who the man is with whom you've been having an affair. Her footsteps halted, always resorting to such underhanded schemes, slandering a woman's virtue to crush her. I despise people like you most. I won't believe a single word you say. I smiled. Should I call you Miss Zhou? Or Miss Zhou? Zhou Sui? Or Zhou Sui? She glanced back, her expression dark. This is absurd. Ha 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 ha. I wasn't certain before, but your reaction confirms it. I recall the empress of the previous dynasty bore the surname Zhou. When that dynasty fell, Her clan protected the royal family in their escape, adopting new identities and vanishing from sight. I never imagined the young lady here was descended from that imperial lineage. Her face drained of color, then twisted into a strange smile. You're a loyal dog to Zhaoshan, aren't you? But do you know what he says about you? He calls you empty-headed beauty, big-breasted and brainless, arrogant and extravagant without a shred of self-awareness. If he didn't have to use your family, he wouldn't want to see your stupid face for a single day. That's how he treats you. And you still work for him? My hand shot out, striking her face without hesitation. Alas, only one slap. Had I the chance, I'd have beaten her face into a pig's snout. My voice was cold. His Majesty is my husband and my sovereign. I will not tolerate you trampling his dignity thus. I turned and walked away. But mid-stride, dizziness struck. Before I fell, a figure darted out of the dark bamboo grove and caught me in a tight embrace. Jiu Feng! Jiu Feng? I was wrong. I was truly wrong. I shouldn't have harbored prejudice against you. I was truly wrong. I am utterly despicable. Why did I humiliate my own consort for a woman who betrayed me? I deserve to die. Hearing the emperor's voice, I let myself slip into unconsciousness with a sense of relief. The emperor truly treated Zhou Sui differently. He tormented her by day, yet by night he would follow her, escorting her all the way back to her cramped, confined maidservant quarters before returning to his own chambers. Knowing this, I waited here for Zhou Sui. My efforts were not in vain. I remained unconscious for 3 days. The dosage was precisely calculated. 3 days, enough time for the emperor to uncover the truth. He discovered Zhou Sui's real name was Zhou Sui. They were remnants of the previous dynasty's royal family, hiding in a fishing village for decades. When the emperor stumbled upon them by accident, they saw it as the perfect opportunity to restore the old dynasty. They planned to use Zhou Sui to confuse the imperial bloodline and seize the throne without a fight. Zhou Sui had initially shared this ambition. But once inside the palace, her thoughts changed. She no longer wished to be controlled by the remnants of the former dynasty. She knew their plan was doomed to fail. When the time came, they could easily escape, while she, alone, would surely perish within the palace walls. She wanted to truly control her own destiny. But how exactly to do this? She planned to observe the situation and let things unfold naturally. If the emperor proved powerful, she would use him against them. She would bear his child, become the sole dominant figure, and enjoy unparalleled glory. If the empress consort proved formidable, she could use the child as an excuse to eliminate this threat permanently. She could then exploit the emperor's guilt to suppress the empress consort, propel herself to a position of power, and slowly conceive a child to secure her place as the empress. Her calculations were flawless. The only thing she hadn't accounted for was that the emperor was incapable of fathering children. All her hopes and plans dissolved into thin air. The emperor was furious. He had always believed his love for Zhou Sui was genuine. Never in his wildest dreams did he imagine that from the very first day he was exiled to that fishing village. It had all been a calculated scheme. Now, he hated Zhou Sui with a passion. He hated the remnants of the previous dynasty even more. He sent men to exterminate them, but they had long since vanished. The emperor was now in a state of furious rage. He found everyone irritating. Ministers dared not provoke him. Consorts dared not approach him. So he turned his torment toward Zhou Sui in every imaginable way. In the midst of his fury, an idea actually struck him. He planned to crown Zhou Sui as empress, then have her signal those people to come. Unaware Zhou Sui had miscarried. They would surely come to mock her. Then he would wipe them all out. Fearing I might misunderstand, he came specifically to explain. This was the first time I saw him since waking. In just a few days, he had wasted away beyond recognition. Ah, Feng. Do not misunderstand. I am baiting the snake out of its hole. Once those remnants of the former dynasty are dealt with, I shall compensate you handsomely. I will make you empress. Zhou Sui is yours to do with as you please. Perhaps I truly was mistaken. Mother Empress's judgment was indeed superior to mine. Though noblewomen may seem affected, propriety and integrity are ingrained in their very bones. That harlot Zhou Sui doesn't hold a candle to Ah Feng. I paused, tempted to offer a word of caution. Don't reduce everything to black and white. Couldn't it be that everyone has both good and bad sides, depending on which prevails in the moment? But then I thought better of it. In this lifetime, the emperor and I would never sit down for a heart-to-heart. Let it all end like this. On the day of the investiture ceremony, the emperor forbade me from attending the bridal preparations. Zhou Sui's face was deathly pale, dressed in loose wedding robes. She was manipulated by palace attendants like a puppet, radiating a desolate, sunset-like gloom. Upon seeing me, her eyes flashed with startling intensity. Zhao Jiufeng, have you come to mock me? Had I shared your background and lineage, I would never have lost to you. I would have bound Emperor Zhaoshan to me forever, leaving you alone and helpless in the palace for the rest of your life. I did not lose. So don't you dare come here to gloat. Oh. Ha. You're mistaken. Your victory lies in your lowly origins. Had you been a noble lady from a distinguished family, His Majesty would have despised you just the same. With your looks, you wouldn't even have been admitted to the palace. Having lived this life twice, I've always been curious about the Emperor's thoughts. Why did he dislike noble ladies? Why did he think we were all wicked? Later, I learned from an old palace maid that when the Emperor was young, his mother, the Empress Dowager, was harsh and demanding. She came from a prestigious family and had immense expectations for him. Yet the Emperor proved mediocre, lacking any exceptional talent. To spur him on, his mother constantly pitted him against others. Today, he couldn't match the archery skills of some noble son. Tomorrow, his calligraphy fell short of another aristocratic heir. The day after, he couldn't recite texts as well as yet another noble scion. He was perpetually belittled, spending his entire childhood and adolescence in disgrace. But fortune smiled upon him. His mother proved remarkably capable, fighting her way through the ranks to propel him to the throne. Even more fortuitously, upon his ascension, she selected his consorts before passing away. No one restrained him anymore. He could unleash his true nature without restraint. The more accomplished we consorts, chosen by the late Empress Dowager, became, the deeper his inferiority complex grew. Only by suppressing us could he regain his self-respect. Thus he belittled and scorned us. Watching us flutter around him in confusion brought him immense pleasure. Zhou Sui's arrival was his salvation. She knew nothing of the palace, possessed no talents, and depended entirely on him. He manipulates her, controls her, and finds it deeply satisfying. Occasionally she pricks him, but he relishes it because everything remains within his grasp. Had Zhou Sui been like us, he would have discarded her like a worn-out shoe. Zhou Sui's eyes burned crimson. Zhao Jiufeng, I hate you. If you were dead, everything would be resolved. I curved my lips slightly, using my finger to lift her gaunt cheek. Miss Zhou, you are ill. Even I can see it. Could His Majesty not? The lover you pine for cares less for you than the enemy you despise. What use is such love to you? Moreover, what do you hate about me? What right do you have to hate me? The one who impregnated you was a remnant of the former dynasty's royal family. The one who forced you to abort was His Majesty. The one who abandoned you was also His Majesty. The only thing this palace has done for you is uncover your true identity. You dare not hate them. Yet you dare hate this palace. Is it because you are hypocritical and weak? You dare not hate those far stronger than you. You only dare hate this palace. Who seems easier to bully? Is it because you know yourself to be weak and powerless? Able only to vent your hatred upon me? Another woman? Ha! What a pitiable creature. But speaking to you is pointless now. After today, you shall die. Through this affair, His Majesty has seen that we, the daughters of noble houses, are the most reliable. Your Majesty, I shall be crowned Empress. I alone shall stand by your side. And you shall die. Zhou Sui lunged at me in fury, only to be held back by palace maids on either side. I want you dead. You worthless slut. I want you dead. I lifted my gaze to meet hers defiantly. I am the true victor. Satisfied, I departed as Zhou Sui's eyes blazed with fury. The ceremony commenced. The emperor appeared in the square, hand in hand with Zhou Sui. Sure enough, among the crowd sat a few misfits. Their complexions were dark, a mark of years spent fishing and hunting. Though clad in new garments and behaving with polite decorum, their manners felt artificial, a borrowed formality, not the innate grace of nobility. Their eyes fixed intently on the emperor, lips curled in a subtle, knowing smile. Ceremonial music swelled as the emperor raised his hand. Suddenly, the soldiers standing behind them silently raised their axes and halberds, bringing them down with brutal force. Blood spattered everywhere. As each head fell, the faces still bore eerie, twisted smiles. Zhou Sui was terrified. Covering her head, she screamed loudly and threw herself into the emperor's arms. Brother Shin, save me! The emperor, dazed, instinctively reached out to catch her. Yet what he grasped, along with her warm embrace, was the cold edge of a dagger. Zhou Sui's face was streaked with blood, yet she wore a triumphant smile. She swept past the emperor, fixing me with a maniacal grin. I won. I am the victor. What I cannot have, neither shall you. The next moment, her mouth gaped open. Her body, pierced by multiple blades, crashed heavily to the ground. The emperor survived, though gravely wounded. He knew his time was short. Summoning me and his ministers to his bedside, he made his final arrangements one by one. He named me Empress. He designated my son as Crown Prince. He entrusted the young prince to several ministers and appointed me to rule from behind a curtain. Then, he looked at me, his eyes lingering with reluctance. The court officials withdrew. I sat beside him, holding our son, watching him. Perhaps, as death approaches, words become sincere. Suddenly, paternal love stirred within him. He strained his fingers, trying to stroke the child's cheek. Alas, I cannot watch him grow up. I regret it so deeply. I was not a good father. It's all right, Your Majesty. You were never meant to be a father. My tone was calm, a smile playing at my lips. He froze. What do you mean? I leaned in, covering his nose with my hand, whispering softly in his ear. Your Majesty, it wasn't the injury that made you unable to father children. You never could. You were born a eunuch. Did you not know? He struggled desperately. You're lying. Consort In. Consort Shu. Oh, those two. Your Majesty, haven't you noticed our pregnancies began around the same time? Even our children's birthdays differ by mere days. The emperor's eyes widened, tears welling as he gritted his teeth. Wretches. All of them wretches. Sui. My Su. He struggled painfully to rise, but only coughed up a mouthful of blood before collapsing stiffly back onto the bed. He died. His eyes remained open in death. The bed curtains stirred without a breeze. A chill seeped into my skin. I took half a step back. watching him coldly. Your Majesty, you still see everything as black or white. When we are bad, your Sui becomes the good one. When Sui is bad, we become the good ones again. Truth is, we are who we are. Always have been. If you want true heart, you must exchange true heart for it. There is no such thing in this world as you tormenting and humiliating me. Yet I still love and long for you. If such a thing exists, it must be a deception. This life, let it be so. If there is a next life, we shall settle our accounts then. I carried the child out and proclaimed loudly that the emperor had passed away. The crowd prostrated themselves, wailing in grief. I watched the sun sink heavily, yet felt that the good days had only just begun. The palace intrigues had drawn to a close. The treacherous schemes of the new dynasty begin, and I finally have my chance to enter the battlefield of power. This world, I have arrived. Kneel before me. All of you. The end.